engage there when we begin. So I just want to formally welcome everyone to the Happy Teacher Revolution webinar. This is so exciting. I am so grateful for everyone who is tuning in, who's watching this, who's taking time and energy out of their busy days to invest in themselves. My name is Dana Thomas. I'm the founder and creator of Happy Teacher Revolution. And every presentation that I give, I dedicate to this group of individuals. They are first responders. They're not nurses. They're not doctors. They're not emergency medical technicians. They're teachers, and they were my teachers because when I was in high school and college, I suffered from crippling anxiety and depression and panic attacks. I represented the 1 in 4 Americans who grapples with a mental illness, the 1 in 5 college students who's contemplated suicide. I represented the statistic that the onset of mental illness most frequently occurs between the ages of 17 and 24. And Ms. Balderson recognized those subtle changes in behavior as warning signs. Ms. Goro provided me with the medical information to seek treatment and to get help. Professor Orr, Professor Sampson provided life-saving differentiation and accommodation for me when I was in crisis. They saved my life. And they're the reason I'm here today. And if you ever had the chance to attend a Happy Teacher Revolution meeting in person when we were still holding in-person meetings, and had the chance to learn more about Happy Teacher Revolution, you know this is familiar to you because every single presentation I've ever given has been dedicated to this group of people because I wouldn't be alive before you today if it weren't for them. They were my inspiration to become a teacher myself. And for 7 years, I served as a Baltimore City public school teacher. And I have to admit, I was completely unprepared for the emotional demands of the job, specifically working with children who've experienced trauma firsthand. And we know that trauma in a child's life can range from any number of things, whether it's losing a pet, losing a parent, experiencing a natural disaster, moving neighborhoods or moving countries, witnessing an act of gun violence, or experiencing a global pandemic. And part of my healing journey personally has been serving as an advocate for mental health awareness. I was a national spokeswoman for NAMI Maryland, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and the Music for Mental Health campaign. And because I was so outspoken about a topic that's typically wrapped in stigma and shame and secrecy, there were teachers who came out to me about things that they were struggling with. My friends, colleagues, people who talked down the hall or sat next to me in PD or sat across the table from me in my classes at Johns Hopkins. And I quickly recognized a pattern that so many teachers were feeling isolated and alone and craved authentic human connection. And unfortunately, what I realized and recognized in these patterns in Baltimore wasn't unique to our community alone. Because according to research from the University of Missouri, an estimated 93% of teachers experience an overwhelming level of stress. And while this is a global webinar, we literally have people tuning in from all over the world on this webinar right now. I just want to talk numbers and data because I'm a data nerd, I'm a science nerd. I love the little glasses nerd emoji because that's me. And my master's in Hopkins was in data-driven education. And so when I'm talking data with you right now, I want to apply it specifically to the numbers of teachers in the U.S. So of the 3.6 million teachers in the U.S., an estimated 3.3 million teachers are stressed out, which means that an estimated 80 million children are sitting in the classroom of a stressed out teacher, now learning online from a stressed out teacher, right? And we know from the University of British Columbia, measuring biometric data, swabbing the cheeks, taking saliva samples of teachers and that of their students, measuring the stress hormone that we call cortisol, we're finding that teachers with a higher level of cortisol have students with a correspondingly higher level of cortisol, which means to say that stress is contagious. We also know that teachers in their first 5 years in the classroom, 50% of teachers are leaving in their first 5 years. This is costing the U.S. an estimated $7.3 billion every year in the constant recruitment and training of new teachers. And now with this complete upheaval in our education system, we might not see the same number of folks who are graduating from schools of education and entering the workforce. So the shortages are going to be even worse. More teachers left in 2018 than any year on record, according to the U.S. Department of Labor statistics. And I have to be honest with you, with Happy Teacher Revolution, like, while we're very much like a positive and happy and like, look at my smiling apple, you know, it's like, we're very much a positive and motivated group of collective of change makers. But I have to be honest with you, this revolution started from a place of pain and darkness and desperation. This is a picture of me in my first couple of years of teaching. And when I started Happy Teacher Revolution, I had 39 kindergartners in my classroom in Southeast Baltimore. We didn't have heating, we didn't have air conditioning, there was asbestos in the tiles and lead in the water, and I would have to come in early in the morning to clean off my students' pencil baskets because of the mice feces that were collecting in their pencil baskets. And I even was reprimanded during the polar vortex, and so were my students, because I let them wear their jackets in the classroom. Again, we didn't have heating, and it was so foul and so disgusting, but not just the environmental conditions of the building, not just like the roaches crawling in front of the numbers of the microwave when I would heat up my lunch in the teacher's lounge. I couldn't tell how many seconds were left, but it's honestly moments like these. Like, this is a picture of teachers that you think, you know, we're happy and we might have had a long work week, but here we are at happy hour. But here's the thing is, like, we used happy hour to self-medicate and to self-numb. And this picture was actually taken the night that an administrator sexually harassed myself and targeted young female teachers who weren't tenured because we were too scared to speak up. And that same administrator is on trial, and that same administrator is going to go on trial. And myself, along with other female teachers that worked in the building, are going to spend our Teacher Appreciation Week standing up for ourselves and spreading our voice. Because here's the thing, teachers have been silenced for so long. And I believe that it's time that our voices are amplified. I believe that it's time for us to start a revolution. I asked myself, how might we create the time and space for teachers to heal, deal, and be real about the social, emotional, and intellectual demands that they face on the job? And Happy Teacher Revolution was born. This was a grassroots movement that started in a classroom in Southeast Baltimore, and it spread. I started holding meetings wherever I could find, whether it was yoga studios or the basement of a church or the Hopkins campus. And in 2017, Education Week found out about Happy Teacher Revolution. They wrote about us, and we went viral. I started hearing from educators all over the country, all over the world, who were experiencing stress and burnout and overwhelm. And they were like, hey, how do I start one of these meetings where I live in my community? And so in 2017, we first launched our online platform to help support educators around the country and around the world to support their own mental health and wellness and that of each other. And so what does this mean? You are on the Happy Teacher Revolution webinar. You are a part of something so exciting. You've already invested the time and energy and belief in yourself and being part of it. So this is why you belong here, and this is what I promise to provide you. Happy Teacher Revolution is a movement. It's a network. It's a community. We're here to provide educators with strategies to support your self-care, your mental health, your wellness during times of anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. And so when I first started Happy Teacher Revolution, I quickly realized I wasn't alone in my thoughts. I wasn't alone in my feelings around my lack of self-care and my desperate need of healthy coping mechanisms. So I realized I wasn't alone and that there was strength in one another and strength in authentic human connection. So I'm now going to open up the stories of 3 revolutionaries. And this is similar to that of our Happy Teacher Revolution meeting. So while we have a huge, amazing amount of folks who are tuning in live right now with the webinar, we wanted to give you a taste of what Happy Teacher Revolution meetings are all about before we launch our online meetings and open up more information around that. So I'm now going to open up the stories of 3 revolutionaries who've joined this movement. They're going to give all of you an insight into what we do inside of the Happy Teacher Revolution movement and how what we have created has created lasting transformation among teachers, within themselves, within their communities, and how we can plan for you to leave this call, this webinar tonight, with some hope and an outlined plan of action for you to find what I found. So I'd like to first introduce Karina, coming to you live from Texas. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Buenas tardes. My name is Karina Vergara, and I am from South Texas. I've been teaching fifth grade now for 6 years, and I work for a very competitive, fast-paced public charter school. Now, when I first started teaching, I was hands down a yes person. How many of you can relate to that? I said yes to everything that was asked of me, whether I wanted to or not. And I did this because this was the norm and this was what was expected from teachers. At the beginning, I took pride in staying on campus until the custodians kicked me out, which on Fridays was 10 o'clock. I worked when I was sick. I fixated on every single detail, whether it was important or not. And I was absolutely terrified of letting down my administrators and my students. Now, I was also miserable. I was tired. I was stressed beyond belief. And I can remember spending every single night working until at least 1 or 2 in the morning. I was completely burnt out. That year, I also had the lowest scores in the district. And I really felt that I had failed myself and that I failed my students. That year was definitely a low point for me in my life. I felt that I was being treated as a human doer, not as a human being. I felt as though I was a walking percentage. I can remember one instance in particular that really encapsulates this for me. And you can let me know if any of you have also experienced this. I had just walked into the building. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I still had my car keys. I still had my lunch bag in my hand, and I was greeted by my manager. I met her in the hallway, and instead of, good morning, Ms. Vergara, I was met by, there are errors in this data that I need you to fix immediately. I hadn't even had a chance to put my bags down or even greet my students, and I already felt defeated and humiliated. I felt as though despite all of the good things that I was doing, my mistakes always outweighed the good. And it was that evening, in fact, that I began working on my resume and even started looking for jobs in every other field but teaching. This is when I happened to stumble upon a Facebook article titled, "Self-Care is Not Selfish, Self-Care is Professional Development." This is when Dana and I connected, and I immediately knew that finding this article was no accident. I felt something awaken in me that I had never felt before. I felt empowered, I felt heard, and I felt affirmed that I was doing the best that I could. I was then introduced to the 12 choices and started applying them in my life. And I started doing something revolutionary. I started to say no. At the time, this was unheard of. A teacher saying no, how dare she? Now, setting this boundary for myself was critical, not only to my well-being in the classroom, but also my well-being out of the classroom. The Happy Teacher Revolution has brought me so much joy and inspiration, but it's also really awakened in me a sense of power to choose what is best for myself. It has taught me to set boundaries for others and how to prioritize my self-care and how to advocate for myself and others around me. Now, I want to be really transparent with all of you. I had my first COVID breakdown this past week. I sobbed, and I sobbed for all 117 of my students. I cried as I thought about how they were coping. I thought about whether or not they were being properly fed or taken care of. I wonder if the adults in their lives are nurturing them and keeping them safe. And I really had to take a step back and realize that despite how much I love them and how much I wish I could be there for them right now, there are just things that are out of my control. What is in my control, however, is how I react to the stresses of this global pandemic. I have the choice to focus on my emotional and mental well-being. We can't practice self-care without self-awareness, and you can't practice boundaries if you don't have self-care. They're twofold, they go hand in hand. Again, being fully transparent with you, I feel robbed. I feel like this school year was taken from me. I feel like it was taken from my students. It was taken from their parents. So please don't let this time at home become another opportunity where you are robbed of putting your needs first. You know, if you've never prioritized self-care and setting boundaries, now is the time to do it. This is your opportunity to choose happiness. This moment is right now, and the opportunity for you to join a community that believes that you can be a whole person and a whole teacher if you just put yourself first. I invite all of you to envision yourselves living your best, fullest, happiest life. And I want to ask all of you this: what is stopping you from choosing your best life? Thanks.
Karina, thank you so much for sharing that. And I just wish I could give you the biggest virtual hug right now. And, you know, what really resonates with me about what Karina just shared is just this idea that, like, we, in terms of self-care, it's like we're pouring out so much, and so much of our thought and headspace and energy is going for others, but it's not selfish to invest in yourself and your own self-care and wellness. In fact, it filling your own cup means that spillover is what you're able to offer others. And I think that is just so poignant what you shared. And I'm so, so grateful for your involvement in the Happy Teacher Revolution community, for everything that you do for your students and their families. And she was sharing with me the other day just about, you know, all of the struggles that some of her students are grappling with. And yet she is getting texts every single day from mom, look at this work, check it out, all of the photos. And so I'm so proud of your kiddos too. Thank you so much. Next, please welcome Benita Moyers from Alabama to share.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
All right. I couldn't see myself, so I want to make sure. Hi, I'm Benita, and I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. And I just want to, first of all, thank you all for taking time to join us tonight. This has truly become a passion of mine because, you see, I met Dana last February in 2019 from a very, very dark place. I was suffering a lot of just pretty much bordering on depression, compassion fatigue for sure. I was ready to quit. I was looking for jobs because I had decided at the end of that year that was it. I had lost my mom in September, and then shortly after that we lost my husband's grandmother, and we were high school sweethearts, so she was like my grandmother because I'd known her, you know, almost the majority of my life. And then I'd lost a dear friend to a very rare disease, which was horrific. And I was also an inclusion teacher, and I was struggling to juggle everything in the classroom without an aide, and just felt completely overwhelmed. I didn't think I could go on. And I had been asked to come to DC to accept an award that I didn't feel I deserved. And I beat myself up the entire time, saying I should not be on this plane with these teachers when I'm ready to quit. And they set up a meeting for us to have some speakers, and Dana was one of the speakers. And I sat there in this room with teachers from all 50 states, and I started sobbing because for the very, very first time, somebody got it. She understood what I was feeling, and she wasn't condemning me for feeling so overwhelmed and feeling the need to quit, because it was never about the fact that I didn't love teaching or that I didn't love the students, but I just couldn't handle all the pressures that were caving on me at one time. So at the end of the session, I went up to her and I said, I have got to know more about this, because this is something we're not talking about in Alabama. We're not talking about social emotional learning. We're not talking about teacher having all this stress and wellness and mindfulness. None of this had been coming up. And I go to training sessions all over the state. I need this. And if I need it, I know somebody else does too. So I came back and I went through the international cohort with her, and it was one of the best decisions I made. It's the best professional development I have ever had. And I get a lot of professional development with the things that I do. And this was by far the best because it revolutionized my life. For the first time, I had an actual happy, not, low stress end of the school year, because I listened to what Dana was telling me about setting boundaries. Try to go home and not take all that stuff with you so that you're not so wore out. And so I set an alarm 4 o'clock, I was leaving that school building, and I was not taking report cards or CUME folders or whatever it was that I needed to work on home. I came home, I got in my happy spot, which is my swing under a big oak tree, and I would sit there and I would just calmly, try to relax and get that stress off of me before my family got home. And the funny thing is, my family and I were happier than we had been since I'd started teaching. And when I asked them about it one day, they said, well, you're just not coming home so upset and living on the laptop, and you're being mom again. So the summer, I focused on self-care and mindfulness and really working on resting, which is something that sometimes in the summer I didn't do because I was going to PD everywhere. Little did I know that I would need that strength to help it through the beginning of the school year. A very traumatic event happened just shortly before we started school with my daughter being attacked. And I have never, ever experienced so much trauma in my life. I didn't know hardly how to cope with it. And my Happy Teacher Revolution team and Dana rallied around me. They supported me. And Dana happened to be in Alabama for a meeting and joined us at our meeting that day. And little did we know then that not only did I need her and my daughter needed her, but our school needed her, because literally as she walked in the door, an announcement came on for us to hurry to the faculty meeting room, where we learned that a teammate had lost her husband. And we went back to my room in tears and had a real Happy Teacher Revolution meeting that was healing, so much healing that we needed right then. We never dreamt that we would need something like that. And for the first time, my daughter opened up during that session, and that led her to the road of healing. It helped me hearing that. And so the year finally started stabilizing and things started going good. And then guess what? Here comes along this virus called COVID-19. And I was just absolutely devastated when I found out that we would not be saying goodbye to our students. I teach kindergarten, and there's just all these things that we do at the end of the year that means so much to kindergartners. The kindergarten graduation and field day and our memory books, and that was snatched from us. And I had students crying on our Zoom calls going, please, Ms. Moyers, I want to see you. And we decided to host one of those parades. And so we were all happy and we're waving at our kids. And I was texting Dana and saying, guess what? This is the best feeling I've had since this happened. And literally 15 minutes before that parade ended, we get the call that the state was shutting us down for the rest of the school year. And it was heartbreaking. We spent the rest of that ride crying. This weekend, we were told we had 24 hours to go get anything out of our room we needed. And then that would be it until who knows when. Passing by the work, hanging there, frozen in time. Seeing the empty carpet, the water bottles and jackets laying on the floor without the students. I went from the best ending of school last year to the absolute worst this year. I sat in the middle of that carpet in tears the other night. As Kanina and all of them have said, there's been times we just melt down and we can't help it. My first instinct was to text Dana, and I sent her a video of my empty room. Happy Teacher Revolution has helped me in so many ways, and I know that it will help you too through this time. It doesn't mean we're going to be happy all the time, like Dana said before, but it is a tool and a resource to help you get through those difficult times faster and not alone. And one of the things people keep telling me all the time is, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for more PD. I don't have time for an extra meeting. But here's the thing. It's not an extra meeting for me. It's not extra PD. It is a lifeline back to that happiness that I need from the darkest parts of my job. And we don't realize the traumatic stress that it puts on our families when we come home upset and we're dealing with this, but it is impacting them. And Happy Teacher Revolution gives you a safe place with people who love you and care about you to help you cope and deal with this stress and to grieve, because that's what we're doing right now. We are all grieving the loss of our students. So please, I encourage you to invest in yourself during this time. This is the perfect time to spend time focusing on you and getting well. We could all sit there and get on Netflix and we can binge Tiger King or whatever you want to binge and eat unhealthy. Or you can take some time and say, I'm going to invest in my professional development to help myself heal. So when my new students come this fall, I'm ready to deal with them and I can cope with all this stress that's being thrown at me right now. So I thank you again for coming, and please check out the introductory pack, and I promise you, you won't regret revolutionizing your life.
Thank you so much, Benita, for sharing that. And oh my gosh, my heart really just is breaking for all of the educators everywhere around the world who are grieving and this loss and this suddenness. And you know, it feels like our teachers have been robbed of this time with their kids. And the time piece is so huge. There's the scarcity. If there's not enough time, there's not enough time. But like what Benita shared, like when she invested time in herself, she found more time on the back end. And I'm just so grateful for your vulnerability and sharing that, Benita. Next, please welcome our revolutionary from Pennsylvania. I know we have a number of folks who are joining us from PA. Please welcome Alex.
Okay. PA, welcome. Thanks so much for representing PA. Love you guys. But no, seriously, shout out to everybody who is here on this call. You are taking time for yourself today, time to learn about Happy Teacher Revolution and what it can do for you. I'm sure you have a million things on your to-do list you need to get done before you go online teach tomorrow or whatever you have to do. Or maybe it's that you're supposed to be putting your little ones to bed, but you know your partner has them right now. I'm pretty sure my husband just forgot the bottle and came down for Jenkins. But anyway, long story short. Okay, so this was my first step in embracing my own happiness and actually knowing what that meant. So I don't know where I would be without Happy Teacher Revolution. And I don't think I would have stayed in the education system without it. So I found Happy Teacher Revolution in my 10th year teaching. I had been teaching in low income, high turnover, yada, 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 public and charter schools in both Philadelphia and Bethlehem. And I was really tired of the what are you doing about it approach to student behavior, while they all continue to bite, kick, yell, scream, and just like beg for the support that they really needed. But there was just a lack of resources for them. And we were told we had to do everything for them. And we obviously want to, right? But there was no support for teachers either to get through all that. I was really, really tired as well with the curriculum demands and the assessments that we had to do. And just like, I didn't agree with the curriculum so much being developmentally appropriate for my students. I mean, all of us on here know that our kids can do awesome things, and you know they can do anything we ask them to do if you know we scaffold it down and teach them you know as hard as we can. But I just didn't think that, like, at what cost, right? Like, at what cost are we asking them to do these things? And you know, you just see those behaviors, problems, and all that starting. Anyway, I really wanted to build relationships with the students, but the curriculum and assessment demands was just getting in the way of that. And on top of that, my husband and I were trying to get pregnant. And that was I guess, when I was starting to feel really burnt out was March of that year. So I had faced my body's rejection for 20 months in a row at that point, I think. And I had a lot of pressure, of course, on myself to get pregnant, and the pressure of that coupled with the expectation to be a perfect teacher and have your kids walking in perfect bubbles and ducktails in line and all that was just really, really exhausting. And I actually started thinking like the median on the road looked rather nice. And I was thinking, oh, I'll just drive off into the median I was starting to have those thoughts on the way to work because I was so anxious about going, and on the way home. And there's also a casino nearby where I was working. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go to the casino and go gamble and drink. And that's definitely not my nature at all. I was just becoming a teacher I never wanted to be, unhappy, burnout. I felt like I had no passion anymore, and the kids really deserve better than that. And so in March, I decided that I was going to leave teaching. And if you knew me, you would have probably never known that, she's the most bubbly, happiest person, but I was just faking it until I made it to 340 every day. But that's when I found Happy Teacher Revolution. I watched a video, and in that video, the quote, "Bend until you break," really struck me hard. And I knew that I had to do this. I had to sign up to learn how to support teachers because I knew that there were other teachers out there feeling the same way I was, and I needed to prevent them from getting to the point that I was, or worse, driving it into the median. Despite my principal thinking I may not be able to handle it, I signed up, and I learned how to make time for self-care and actually act upon it. It's one thing to be like, oh, you should meditate, or you should go and paint, or you should do this, but it's a one thing to actually have to act upon it. So I learned what those things were for me, because for everybody it's different. And I started leading the teacher support group meetings and providing that safe space for educators to share. And those of you who've come know that I always try to bring like a massage therapist or an author and try and make a wellness event out of it. So thank you for anybody on the call that's come. I also learned about the 12 choices of Happy Teacher Revolution and carried all these things into my next year teaching. So I was able to go into the 11th year teaching equipped with these tools, but also acting upon them, and I had a different mindset. I'm helping Dana spread the movement to provide this safe community of educators so they don't think about that median. And I had fallen so far down on my to-do list. I don't think I was even on there anymore. And I didn't know what made me happy anymore. I was so depressed, and I didn't even think anything could make me happy. And HTR taught me it's okay and necessary to make your health and happiness a priority. So thanks again for taking time for yourself today to be here, for all you do every day, not just now, but every day as educators on the front line for our students, and for letting me share an opportunity to light the fire underneath you to take care of yourself before it's too late. So Dana shared this with me, and I want to share it with you because it's had a really big impact on me. And the quote is, "You aren't required to light yourself on fire to keep others warm." Thanks all for listening.
Wow, thank you so much, Alex. And, I sent that quote to my mom actually recently because she's not a teacher, but she's in a caregiver relationship intensive profession. And I think that it's so huge for us in those caregiver type of roles to put others' needs above our own, and to oftentimes self-sacrifice to a point that we completely burn out and completely extinguish ourselves. And yet we put so many obstacles in the way of prioritizing our own needs, right? Oh, self-care is selfish. Oh, I don't have time for that. Oh, that costs too much money, I'm not going to spend. But yet we spend so much money on others and so much time on everyone else, and we take care of so many other individuals in our lives. And I just think that it's so impressive, your vulnerability and your openness to share something that was really just pain and darkness and a moment of struggle. And so thank you so much, Alex, for sharing. I'm just so grateful for everyone who's tuning in and who is connecting on the call. But what does this mean for you? What does being a part of Happy Teacher Revolution mean? What is this whole movement thing, And I have to be honest, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I want to know, have you ever felt like you were forced into saying yes all of the time? Have you been forced into being voluntold to do things that you don't really want to do, and you have to grin and bear it, right? Like, have you ever been voluntold in a time, especially when you knew that you had to take care of yourself? You just heard from Benita and Karina and Alex. Everything changed for them. Everything changed when they found Happy Teacher Revolution, when they found the Happy Teacher Revolution community. Everything changed for them when they were introduced to our Happy Teacher Revolution support groups, our self-care introductory course, when they joined a movement, when they were part of something. They started to develop self-care practices. They started to immediately integrate these wellness and self-care practices into their own lives. They started to get their self-esteem back. Karina said she felt empowered, right? Like, they started flexing their no muscles. No muscles are better than biceps, than real muscles, right? Like, boundaries are awesome, right? Their hearts literally started to lift up. Everything changed for them. What would life be like for you if you could implement revolutionary acts of self-care? What would it feel like to have a self-care practice in your life? Would you be in shape? Would you be like one of those meal prep people, right? Like, does self-care mean to you like having more time to spend with your kiddos, having more time to spend with your partner, with your significant other, having more time to be present, more mindful, somehow reclaiming more time, right? Like, that would be amazing. Like, where is it? Sign me up. But here's the thing. It's like, that's not what you're experiencing. That's not what's happening, right? Like, the plate is piling up and the overwhelm is taking over, and it's anxiety and it's stress. And let me ask you a question. Like, how many times in your life have you been on the cusp of investing in yourself and putting yourself first and being like, yes, I'm reclaiming my time. Yes, I'm going to do it. And knowing what like the next step was, and then you didn't take it for whatever reason, like something came in the way. Honestly, there's so much uncertainty in the world right now. There's so much that we don't know about. And what Benita named, one of the things, it's grief. Like, we are grieving collectively, right? Like, it's loss, it's grief, it's loss, it's a loss of normalcy. There's an economic toll. There's this loss of authentic human connection, right? Like, it's hitting us hard and we're grieving. But the thing about it is that it's a collective grief, which is something that might not be something we're used to, this collective feeling of grief, of feeling isolated, but yet we all have this collective loss. And also the anticipatory grief, like, what in the world is going to happen next? So like, what do you say to someone who's grieving? Keep trying. Like, you're doing it, right? Like, you're holding the time and space for yourself right now in community with us, with Happy Teacher Revolution, in knowing that you're not alone. Emotions need motion. I'm going to say that one more time. It's a mic drop room. I'm not going to drop that. This mic can't drop. It's in its stand. Emotion needs motion. What is the motion that you're going to take to prioritize yourself, right? Another thing I've been reflecting on is this idea of isolation versus solitude, right? Like, Happy Teacher Revolution was born because we wanted to help reduce professional isolation for teachers before it was even a thing, like before quarantine was a thing, all right? When we founded in the 2014-2015 school year, I felt isolated. Even I was in a building full of kids and other grown-ups and teachers. I would see the teacher across the hall and I'd compare myself to them. And I'd see their kids in a perfect line, and they would get the shout outs in the email blast, and I would never get a shout out in the email blast. And so I felt incredibly isolated. And yet here we are in physical isolation, right? And so what are moments that we can reclaim for ourselves, renaming it as solitude, taking those moments to invest in ourselves, even if it's just 5 minutes a day through the Happy Teacher Revolution intro course. We have a whole series of videos. What are you going to do to create a moment of solitude and a practice of solitude for yourself, and reframing that from the isolation language? And finally, essential versus non-essential. I think this is really interesting because as we're drawing the line of what are essential, who's non-essential, right? There are some states that are deeming liquor stores essential, cannabis dispensaries essential. Like, what is essential in your life and what's non-essential? In the 12 choices, this is part of our Happy Teacher Revolution starter pack. We're going to have all the links at the end so that you can make sure to sign up to get all of this information through our Happy Teacher Revolution intro course. But one of the things that we say in our Happy Teacher Revolution meetings is, I choose to schedule and prioritize what matters. What is essential in your life right now? It's taking care of you so that you can continue serving the communities around you. And here's the thing, uncertainty. It's like, even reading this word, oh my gosh, there's so much uncertainty in the world. There's so much uncertainty in the education system, right? Like, a lot of teachers are wondering, do I even have a position next school year, right? All of our non-tenured teachers, all of our teachers in their first 5 years, where 50% are likely to leave, right? Like, here's the thing. What if I could tell you, what if I told you right now that there is a program that's been created to change your mindset regardless of circumstances? Because here's the thing, Happy Teacher Revolution, we believe that no matter what happens, with all the uncertainty that happens in the life of an education professional, whether you're a classroom teacher, an administrator, any type of stakeholder, anyone in a relationship intensive profession of someone who works with kiddos, we believe that no matter what happens, you can feel good inside. You can claim your happiness and your self-esteem as your own. Like, we're talking like feeling good, real good, like Pharrell Williams, like, I'm singing happy and in love, like, and not in the fake way, but in the authentic joy, right? Like, this is the greatest opportunity ever, because here's the thing, with everything going on, is that like all of the distractions that people are normally used to, they're gone, right? Like, so for years and years and years, teachers, anyone, not even just teachers, but folks will self-numb with different strategies, whether it's alcohol or shopping. And now guess what it is? It's Tiger King, right? Like, that's the answer. Like, that's what we're doing with our time. We're spending it watching Tiger King and hypothesizing around Carol Baskin. Like, really? So honestly, like, now is the moment of greatest transformation ever, because I want to see teachers succeed. I want to see teachers happy. I want to see the mission of Happy Teacher Revolution to support the mental health and wellness of educators. I want to see that mission thrive. I want to be loud with this message, right? Like, in the midst of all the suffering going on in the world, I want to support teacher mental health and wellness in order to support the students around the globe. I want you to transform your life, to claim happiness as your own, to be ambassador of a movement that is prioritizing teacher mental health, because I believe teacher mental health matters. The suicide rates are going to go up. Rates of depression and alcohol abuse and drug abuse. It's going to be bad. The circumstances of this world that we're in, like, there's so much that is broken. There's so much that individuals are craving the opportunity for authenticity, right? Like, there's so many distractions, but we're craving authenticity. We're craving integrity. We're craving community. Happy Teacher Revolution is the vehicle through which we can start having these conversations. We can show up in full vulnerability and transform. But here's the thing, it's like, I'm going to be totally honest, transformation is uncomfortable. Like, as much as I want to forget it even happened, like the 39 kiddos, like, I want to block out of my mind the sexual harassment from a person in a position of power in a school building who is still currently interacting with students. Like, there's so much trauma that is wrapped up in this experience that I have to be honest, that pain, like, I still want to self-numb and block out, because there's a lot that gets brought up in me. But here's the thing, is that like, the pain that I was in and how broken that the way that I was feeling, like, I was saying yes to so many things. I just wanted to have a moment to myself. Like, I was putting myself last. I was treating myself as a doormat. I was allowing others to treat me as a doormat. I was allowing others in my relationships to treat me as a doormat. And I was tired of this pattern. In the midst of the greatest suffering that I've ever experienced, Happy Teacher Revolution was created. It was introduced in my life. I shared it with others. I thought, I don't know if this thing is going to work. I don't know if other people feel isolated, alone, overwhelmed, and depressed like I am, but like, this was my little glimmer of hope. You know, I was questioning if this would even work. I didn't know if it would work for me, if it would work for other people, but I was so sick of using the external things to fix what was going on internally. I decided to put my money where my mouth was and to take action and to do something about it. So my question is, what is the action that you're going to take? Like, what if you could not only implement a self-care practice in your life right now, but you could create longevity in the rest of your life, regardless of what happens with the education system. Like, we're talking longevity, not only as a professional, but as a human being, right? Like, I don't want you to just burn out as a professional, but don't burn out as a person. Like, keep your light glowing, keep your flame bright. What would that be like for you, right? To claim happiness as your own. What would that be like for you to have a practice of self-awareness and self-care for yourself? Take a picture. Like, what would that look like? Imagine it. What would that picture be in your mind? But here's the thing. It's not what's happening. Like, there's been so many moments and turning points and opportunities to pivot and to change. And it's hard to transform. It's scary to jump out of your comfort zone. Why haven't you taken the action before? What's preventing you from taking the action? What is no. Because I've shared with you, Benita shared with you, Karina shared with you, Alex has shared with you. We've shared with you, the voices of our Happy Teacher Revolution community have shared with you when we were struggling, when we were in the depths of our darkness, and not only ourselves, but the darknesses of others, and, you know, other things that have been going on in our families and our personal lives, and how the Happy Teacher Revolution movement, how the Happy Teacher Revolution intro course has impacted our lives and helped us to find light, helped us reclaim our voice, to find our voice and to amplify it. We're offering you a solution out of the way that you feel. So what's going to prevent you from joining us? Is it that self-care is selfish? Because it's not. Karina showed you that when she poured into herself, she's able to pour into her students. Even now, with everything that's going on, she's able to continue to serve and support the students in her classroom. Is it because you don't have enough time? Because Benita, by investing time into the Happy Teacher Revolution movement, ended up with more time at the end of the year and more time to pursue her passion, which is advocacy work, policy work. She has made incredible changes, not only at the local, but the state level where she lives, in terms of policies that shape educators. And she had more time for that because of the Happy Teacher Revolution movement. And is it Alex, who didn't know if she would have the money to invest in a self-care course and into Happy Teacher Revolution? She asked her principal for help. Her principal didn't give her a dime to invest in professional development, even though it helped her whole school community. Alex paid out of pocket, and her principal said, oh, good luck if you can do it. And guess what? Alex just co-hosted a global webinar for Happy Teacher Revolution. So take that, admin. Okay, I'm not going to be petty. I do want to shout out one of our incredible members of our community, Aubrey, who was part of our webinar last time. She signed up for the intro course and devoured it. She is a superstar and went right through it, all 17 lessons and videos. And I thought it was really powerful what she shared, that she said that I think now more than ever, it's vital that we as teachers and a greater society change the paradigm and shift the narrative. The Happy Teacher Revolution intro course is a taste of the revolution that educators across the globe can turn to in this time of turmoil to better equip ourselves to serve the communities we love and care about so deeply. This evidence-based and time-conscious practices that we provide are easily implemented into daily life, right? Like, this is an opportunity for you. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your students. This revolution and way of thinking has been the driving force behind how I engage with my teaching practice, and I wouldn't have made it without. So shout out to Aubrey. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of the Happy Teacher Revolution movement and for investing that time in yourself and in the intro course. So our intro course is my opportunity, my invitation to all of you to take action. So there's multiple bonuses that I want to go over, but first and foremost, this is our online platform. So our Happy Teacher Revolution intro course is normally a $497 value. There's 17 videos in it, 6 modules that unpack the research and evidence and data behind the Happy Teacher Revolution movement. So not only like the description of our name and the meaning behind the work, but also some of the collaboration and information that we have collected and developed in collaboration with the Johns Hopkins Social Innovation Lab. So we've been a part of the Johns Hopkins Social Innovation Lab, as well as the MICA School of Human-Centered Design. And so the data piece, again, is something that I think is really important. And there's a lot of self-care intro courses out there, but the thing about Happy Teacher Revolution is we're very much grounded in the data and the research behind social support networks. And also the equity lens, because we go further into why Happy Teacher Revolution and investing in the mental health and wellness of teachers is so important, specifically because if we're not investing in teacher mental health and wellness, we're actually perpetuating the school to prison pipeline. The second, okay, so that's the intro course, but there's multiple bonuses that are included with all of you being a part of the webinar and signing up to be a part of this community and for taking the time to invest in yourselves. And so I'm like so pumped about this. So the first bonus of being a part of the Happy Teacher Revolution Self-Care Intro course is that it also means that you are a part of our members only Facebook group, and this is so exciting. So as mentioned before, we were part of the Hopkins Social Innovation Lab, and we worked with Micah's School of Social Design and Center for Social Design to implement a human-centered design process. And so we actually have an international consultant who is going to be working with individuals who are a part of our members-only Facebook group to help design and implement the human-centered data design process through a design sprint, specifically for this incident of global trauma that's affecting our education system right now. So what that means is that your feedback will directly impact other teachers in their wellness journey around the world. How cool is that? Okay, so that's bonus number one. Bonus number two is access to our online Happy Teacher Revolution support group. So this is what is so special about Happy Teacher Revolution, is that we're literally reimagining professional sustainability in education. So some of our revolutionaries, part of their journey in self-care is one of mental health. They see a therapist or psychiatrist as part of their own treatment plan recommended by their doctors. But what they have shared with us is that when we're talking with their therapists, that those individuals encourage them to seek groups and communities of individuals who serve in similar roles and to connect across that way. And so what is so brilliant about Happy Teacher Revolution is it provides that framework and that space for educators in person, but also online. We have been online since 2017, offering these communities of support for individuals and education stakeholders. And so that is what has been really exciting, and a bonus that we're offering to you is being the first ones as part of the Happy Teacher Revolution intro course to sign up for our online rollout of our Happy Teacher Revolution meetings. Our third bonus, so excited about this one. So this is a call with me. It's a breakthrough Happy Teacher Revolution coaching call with me. I've had the opportunity to coach nearly 300 revolutionaries to implement self-care wellness strategies in their own lives, into implementing these professional learning communities as leaders in their communities themselves, as entrepreneurs. A lot of the individuals who've gone through our program are very passionate about their own branches of wellness as well, whether it's yoga or Reiki or meditation or whatever the case may be. And so something that I just am honestly so passionate about is being able to have the opportunity to connect with individuals who are also invested in being change makers, in disrupting the system, and doing it through a lens of supporting the whole teacher in order to support the whole child. And so I have a crazy busy calendar, and especially with everything going on. And so it's something that I'm really grateful to have been able to carve out just a limited number of spots to connect with the individuals who have been enrolled in our self-care intro course. So I'm super excited about that bonus opportunity. So it's the 17 days of videos for our 6 modules intro course, $497. The private community Facebook group is $300 because of all of the human-centered design excitedness that's getting rolled out. Then we have our online Happy Teacher Revolution support groups and our breakthrough coaching call. This is a $1,544 value, but that's not how much it's cost for the folks who are on the webinar. Here's the thing. We're offering it for all of you. That's the value for $97 is our self-care intro course. This is a game changer, okay? The $97 investment honestly could revolutionize the way you feel inside and how you're connected to a group of humans literally around the world to support you for the rest of your life. No big deal. Completely understand. $97. Here's the thing, but like, when in the last month, okay, have you spent $97 on something that you hoped would transform your life and your happiness? How did it feel? I'm on a group thread of my teacher friends. They all texted like the crazy stuff that they've got on Amazon and the money that they spent on these like wacky, wild, like pasta drainer things and like lint removal weirdness. And it's just like, okay, like how many times are you going to use that? And like, it's eventually going to break and go away. But what if I told you there was an opportunity to make an investment that wasn't going away and that was incredibly worthwhile? It's an investment in yourself, right? It's an investment in you. And it's an investment that's not going to go away and that you're going to need. And especially in times of stress and anxiety, when you really, really, really need it, you're going to be able to tap in and tune in. Just like Benita shared and Karina and Alex and all of our revolutionaries who have literally implemented transformational change in their own lives. So you might be viewing this as a cost. It's not a cost. That's not the language that I want to use. This is an investment. It's an investment in yourself. It's an opportunity to develop your life, not just like professional development. It's an opportunity to develop your life, to invest in this opportunity to create transformational change and for it to ripple outwards, right? Like, have you ever noticed that burnout ripples outwards? Sadness, negativity, like the death spiral of like negativity that is sometimes in the teacher's lounge can ripple outward. Well, so can positivity and authentic joy and happiness. So this is my invitation to you. Are you ready to take action? This link is going to actually expire at midnight. It's going to expire. It's because I get really like nerd out on the lunar cycle. And so I wanted to make sure it ended right when the full moon. So on tonight, so it's a full moon. It's the brightest full moon of 2020. So go happyteachercertified.com /webinar 2020. So this is my invitation to you to take action, to invest in yourself, to join our Happy Teacher Revolution self-care intro course and join the Happy Teacher Revolution community. Again, this link is going to expire at midnight. Like Cinderella, it turns into a pumpkin and then an error message will come up and that's no fun. So yeah, I want to say thank you so much for being a part of this movement, for taking the time to invest in your self-care and your wellness. It was so awesome connecting with everyone and getting all of the messages about where everyone is from. I would love to invite you to offer a choice and affirmation for yourself. This is something that we often do at the end of Happy Teacher Revolution meetings, whether it's I choose to set boundaries, I choose to say no, I choose to take the time to invest in myself, I choose to take action instead of waiting. It brought me so much hope to connect with all of these incredible education stakeholders from around the world. And it brought me so much hope to see where you could be if you took the action that you needed to take to claim happiness as your own. Like, I am not going to go to sleep at night until all of our teachers are happy, right? Like, I want everyone to be coming to the work with a place of joy. Okay, I will go to sleep at night, but that's my end game. Like, I want to see our educators succeed and to be happy because I want our students to have an educator who's connecting with them, who is operating from a place of authentic joy. And I hope, unlike the rest of the world who might say, oh, I'll wait on it, or oh, I'll invest in myself later, I hope that you take the action to take care of yourself now. I hope you choose not to just like think about it and procrastinate your well-being any longer, and you choose to be a part of the Happy Teacher Revolution community. Because I know that you're probably going to see Happy Teacher Revolution on social media again. I'm always blowing up the Instagram feed. We got 20,000 something followers. Like, the algorithm is going to put our post, you know, and I'm always posting. So I'm always trying to shout out our teachers and share wise words from incredible educators. And I don't want you to be on your phone scrolling again, being like, oh yeah, I should have signed up. Oh yeah. Whoops. I don't want it to be a reminder when you're scrolling that you decided to put your self-care last again, that you decided not to prioritize yourself. Remember that to keep your flame burning bright, you have to take care of yourself so it doesn't burn out. You can't pour from an empty bowl, and you can't teach from an empty soul. Even with all of the uncertainty in the world, there's no reason that you don't deserve to prioritize and claim happiness as your own. And the question is, are you willing to accept it? I am so grateful for you to be here. I hope you accept this invitation. I hope you don't procrastinate and take a moment for yourself. Like, you deserve this. You deserve this because all of the individuals in your life deserve you to be the happiest, fullest version of yourself. And I know what it's like to struggle. I know that darkness and pain, and I want you to know, if you are there, that you're not alone, that I'm here for you, and that you are a part of a community. You're a part of something so big and so great. And if you are, or someone you know is in an emergency, please, please, please reach out or text NAMI to 741-741. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. I'm so grateful for everyone who is on the call. And I hope you decide to take that action and that step to invest in yourself. Signing off from Happy Teacher Revolution headquarters. Let me get the tunes on again. Because I'm happy. Okay, so the link is in the chat. Here's the link again to sign up. Ooh, amazing. Oh my gosh, we just got 3 people to sign up. Yay, that was so fast. Yay. Shout out to our 3 folks who are already signed up for the Happy Teacher Revolution intro course. 4 people signed up. Oh my gosh, fire. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. Welcome to the revolution. Oh my gosh, we already have 4 people who've taken action. That's so fire. Oh, that makes me so excited. Oh my gosh, this is the beginning of something huge. This is so awesome. So again, the link is in the chat, happyteachercertified.com/webinar2020. It expires at midnight. The prices go up, so make sure you sign up, take action. Do not let this be another thing that you scroll past. Don't spend another moment on Tiger King. Invest in yourself. Honestly, Joe Exotic would want you to take the Happy Teacher Revolution intro course. I truly believe. Okay, I need to make sure I don't say anything else on the record. Yes, we will make sure. Thank you so much. I know, good for not what, good job. Amazing. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna make sure to follow up. Pamela, if you could put your email in the chat box. Just make sure, I'm gonna make sure to click on the link in the chat. Yes. Oh, these are so great. Oh, this is so great. I'm so grateful for all 4 individuals who have signed up for our intro course. Signing up right now. Joe Exotic would want us to take this intro. Okay, can I just show you? Happy Teacher Revolution headquarters looks just like a... Can I show you? I have my big cat bedspread. No joke, okay? So wild. Yeah. This is a way better investment of your time than Tiger King. All you need from Tiger King is the Tiger King memes, really.